Today I am going to tell you the story of the biggest car theft in the world till now. In these thefts, America's most expensive and most luxurious cars were stolen. These thefts were done on such a large scale that the value of the stolen cars reached up to 75 million, which in today's time becomes around 60 crores. The most shocking thing in this entire theft was that the gang who executed these thefts didn't even know who they were working for and who was the mastermind behind this whole operation. During this entire operation, the police kept searching for that mastermind for years, while he continued stealing luxury cars from America and selling them in China. So who was this person? How did he get all these thefts done through the gang without revealing himself? How did he send stolen cars from one country to another? And how did he get caught by the police? This is a truly shocking and thrilling story. The story begins in New York, which is considered one of the biggest and most luxurious cities in the world. The biggest reason for this is that most of the world's rich people live in this city who have luxurious mansions and luxury cars. In New York alone, there are the most luxurious and expensive cars in all of America. And this was the reason why the thieves chose New York for their thefts. Then comes the year 1999. This was the year when, all of a sudden, 48 luxury cars were stolen in New York within just 1 month. And those cars disappeared in such a way that no one knew where they went. The thieves carried out these thefts very cleanly. They would open the car door, sit inside, start the car and drive away. These thieves used to steal the cars from malls and parking areas. But how was all this done so easily? How did these thieves just sit in the car, start it, and disappear with it? You'll be shocked to know because after the thefts, these cars disappeared in such a way that the police didn't find a single one. And during the investigation, the biggest question that kept bothering them was, what did the thieves do with these cars and where did they take them? Then the police came to a theory that the stolen cars were being exported out of America, and the port being used for this was New York's Brooklyn port. Then the police and the car theft department advanced their investigation and reached Brooklyn port and started searching. But they didn't find anything there. Then the police started thinking that this was the work of a big gang who were executing these thefts in a very organized manner. But the most shocking thing was that the person behind organizing these thefts was neither an American nor living in America. This person's name was Min Jing Gang, who used to be an intelligence officer in the Chinese army, and he alone formed a gang that executed the world's biggest car theft till date. Min Jing Gang was thrown out of the Chinese army in the year 1990, after which he went to China's city Shanghai. Because Shanghai is China's richest city, the demand for luxury cars was very high there. But such cars were not easily available in Shanghai. And that's where Gang saw the opportunity that made him the world's most cunning, richest, and biggest thief. Now Gang started trying to contact a criminal gang in Shanghai. Then he met a very big gang leader of Shanghai, in front of whom he pitched a business deal. Gang told the gang leader that he used to work in the army as an intelligence officer and had very good experience in smuggling and escaping being caught. He convinced the gang leader that he would bring stolen cars from outside China, and the gang leader would have to sell those cars in China through his network. The gang leader could not say no to Gang's business deal, because he knew very well that there was a huge demand for such cars in China. He could earn a lot of money from this deal, and that's exactly what happened. He used to buy the stolen luxury cars for $100,000 and sell them in Shanghai for double the price, making a 100% profit. The deal between Gang and the gang leader was fixed at a 60-40 ratio, and along with that, the gang leader gave Gang $500,000 to build his own gang. As I've already told you, in New York alone, there are the most luxurious cars in all of America. And that's why Gang chose New York to carry out his thefts. Gang took those $500,000 and reached America, where he changed his name from Gang to Ken. What Gang focused on the most was that he had to blend in well with American society and the people there. That's why, even after having so much money, he started living a very simple life so that people would think he was just an ordinary man. From the beginning, Gang had brought an ordinary man with him who was his right hand and used to help him in every task. His name was Po Chow. Now, the most important job for Gang and Po Chow was to find a place that was out of the police's sight, where they could keep the stolen cars until they were exported to China. They both started looking for such a warehouse that was in a quiet place and where no crime usually happened. Because New York had a lot of crime, it was quite difficult for them to find such a place. But after weeks of hard work, they found the kind of place they were looking for. After finding the warehouse, Gang opened a fake company there so that even if the police ever reached that place, they wouldn't be able to trace it back to him. Now Gang needed trustworthy people to form his gang, so he started including Chinese people in his gang. He was fully confident that these Chinese people would never betray him and would always remain loyal. After forming the gang, the first thing Gang did was fill the front part of the warehouse completely with food cartons, so that anyone who saw the warehouse would think it belonged to a food company. After placing the food cartons, he installed CCTV cameras inside and outside the entire warehouse. The reason for installing the outside CCTV cameras was to keep an eye on the vehicles coming and going. Now Gang and his gang were fully ready to carry out their first theft. Since Gang had no experience in stealing and didn't want his name to be linked with any crime in any way, he decided to hire a person who had experience in stealing cars and who would carry out the thefts with him. So he started visiting car garages. After a few days, he found the person he had been looking for. This person's name was Dean. Dean was an expert not just with car machines but also in stealing cars. Gang told Dean that he would have to steal cars for the gang, whether he did it himself or got someone else to do it. But the responsibility of the whole operation would be his, and it would have no connection to Gang. Dean, being a professional thief, had connections with several other thieves, one of whom was Mario Lopez, Dean's very good friend and also an expert thief. Gang handed over the car theft operation to Dean and completely distanced himself from it. Now, whoever Dean got to steal the cars believed Dean was their boss, and no one in the entire gang knew that the real mastermind was Gang. Now Dean, along with his friend Mario Lopez, formed an entire gang. Mario was the person who came up with the method that made these thefts easier. It was because of him that all the thieves were able to steal the cars so easily, because breaking the locks of luxury cars triggered their computer lock systems, and then the engine wouldn't start. So Mario would first break the glass of the car door and get inside, then connect his laptop to the car's security computer and reprogram it. Mario was so skilled at this that he could do it in just 1 minute. After that, even a regular key could start the engine of that luxury car. As soon as the security system was disabled, one of the thieves from Mario's gang would sit in the car, insert the key, start it, and drive away. In this way, Gang had now formed two gangs. One gang that worked for him at the warehouse, and the other gang of thieves who worked for Mario. Mario worked for Dean, and Dean worked for Gang. But from the thief to Mario, no one knew that the real mastermind was Gang. After stealing the car, they would take it to such a parking lot where another luxury car was already parked. There were two reasons behind doing this. First, because the car was parked in a parking lot, no one suspected that the cars were stolen. And second, if the car remained parked in the same parking lot for 2 days, it meant that the police were not looking for that car. After 2 days, the thieves would return to the parking lot and take the car from there and park it a little distance away from the warehouse. The biggest reason for parking the car away from the warehouse and not taking it directly there was that the gang did not want any thief to know about the warehouse. Only Dean knew about the warehouse, and that's why, when the thief parked the car and left, Dean would go there, sit in the car, and bring it to the warehouse. But the gang was very clever. Before taking the car inside the warehouse, he told Dean to drive the car around the warehouse for a while, and himself kept watching from the outside CCTV camera to check if any person or the police was following the car. And as soon as he was sure that everything was absolutely fine, he would signal Dean to bring the car inside. As soon as the car came inside the warehouse, it was handed over to the Chinese gang, whose job was to thoroughly check the car from inside and out and fix any issues. The gang had set up an entire garage inside the warehouse, where stolen cars were repaired. their locks fixed, new keys made, their computer systems reprogrammed, and then those cars were made to look brand new and exported to China. To export the cars, the gang used containers. They would load the cars into the container, weigh them, and create fake bills in the name of the container. These bills stated that the container contained food items, and the weight mentioned on the bill matched the container's actual weight so that both weights matched. The gang was doing this job so cleverly and neatly that no one suspected that these containers carried stolen luxury cars. The gang knew very well that due to the increasing thefts, the police were inspecting ports and containers, and that's why the gang ordered its people to export the containers from another city's shipping port. They would first take the containers from New York to New Jersey, and from there load the containers onto a train and send them to California. There were two reasons behind exporting from California. First, it was far from New York City, which kept them out of police reach. Second, being on the west side of America, California ports were closer to China. The gang bribed a big officer at the port and got him on their side. And because of that, he came up with an export method that no one had heard of or thought about. You all must be thinking that the containers would be loaded directly onto a ship and sent straight to China, but that was not the case at all. These containers were first loaded onto ships that were going to other countries, and midway those containers were transferred to the ships going to China. The gang had made their work much easier by bribing the senior port officer, and because of that, no one ever questioned the gang about what was inside the containers, and the containers easily reached China. In this way, the gang stole thousands of cars over 5 years, but neither did the police ever catch the gang, nor was any evidence ever found against them. Because the demand for these luxury cars in China was increasing, the gang decided to now steal cars directly from showrooms, so they could steal more cars at once. And that's why the gang called Dean and told him to put his gang to work stealing cars from the showroom. Here too, along with Dean, Mario executed these thefts very skillfully. Mario first went to the showroom pretending to be a customer and asked for a test drive. During the conversation, his eyes caught the box from where the manager was taking out the car keys and where the keys to the rest of the cars were also placed. Mario also noticed where the CCTV cameras were installed and then left the showroom. Just a few days later, in the middle of the night, Mario again arrived outside the showroom and broke the lock of the showroom door and went straight into the manager's office where the box was, which had the car keys. Meanwhile, his gang members waited outside for his signal. As soon as Mario opened the box and took out the keys, he gave them the signal. All those people entered the showroom, took the keys from Mario, sat in the cars, and escaped in different directions. The shocking thing was that this entire theft was carried out in just 3 minutes, and by the time the alarm went off and the police were informed, Mario had already fled with his gang in the cars. But this time something happened that ruined the whole plan. Out of the 7 luxury cars that were stolen and being driven away, one of the cars met with an accident that same night. After the accident, when the police arrived at the scene and investigated, they found out that the cars were stolen, and they immediately took the driver into custody and began interrogating him. After some pressure, the thief started naming all the gang members and also revealed that 2 men named Dean and Mario were running the gang. As soon as they found out about Dean, the police started looking for him, and just a few days later, the police spotted Dean near the gang's warehouse. Now the police began keeping watch on Dean and the warehouse from their car parked at a distance, so they could figure out what was happening inside the warehouse. But the police were unaware that the gang's partner Pacho was monitoring them through the outside CCTV cameras. And as soon as he figured out that the parked car belonged to the police and they were watching the warehouse, he immediately informed the gang. Although at that time there were no stolen cars inside the warehouse, because most of the cars had already been sent to China, still, due to the garage inside the warehouse. Because of this, all the stolen car parts and repair tools were present there, and the gang had to remove all that stuff somehow. But since the police were keeping an eye on the warehouse, he brings a truck and loads all the garage equipment into it. Along with that, he loads food cartons in the front part of the truck so that he doesn't get caught during checking. And in this way, He loads all the stuff into the truck right in front of the police and drives away. The same police who were standing there waiting for evidence. The next morning, when the police arrive again to keep an eye on the warehouse, they notice something strange. No one has entered or exited the warehouse since morning. This seems very odd to them, and they decide to raid the warehouse. As soon as they enter, their feet slip from under them because the warehouse is completely empty. Now the police understand that the thieves have tricked them and escaped. Dean was the person through whom the police could have caught the whole gang, but now he was also out of police reach. So the police start looking for him again. Only 10 days had passed when Dean is seen again by the police. But instead of arresting him, the police start keeping an eye on him again because they wanted to catch not just Dean, but his entire gang. While keeping surveillance on Dean, the police get court permission to track his phone calls. During call tracking, the police hear the same question again and again. Are the police still keeping watch, or is the investigation still going on? To which Dean replies that he doesn't know anything. The police think that the person on the other end of the call is Dean's partner asking questions. But no one knows that it's not a partner, it's the gang itself, and the mastermind behind the entire theft. And then, after a few days, the calls to Dean completely stop, and the thefts also cease. But the police still keep Dean's number under surveillance, hoping that someday they might get a lead. And finally, after 6 months, Dean's phone rings, and the person on the other side introduces himself as Kenny. He says, "I'm back." Kenny was the name the gang used after coming to America. On the phone, Kenny tells Dean that he has an order of 260, but he doesn't say what 260 means. Kenny is talking to Dean in code because he suspects that Dean's calls are being monitored. After hearing this call, the police start to suspect that this man is the gang leader and is about to restart the thefts. From then on, the gang starts calling as Kenny and speaks in coded language. Then they throw away both the SIM and the mobile after each call, due to which the police cannot track them. During this time, Dean also changes his mobile and SIM, so the police lose track of him too. Then the police stay 2 steps ahead and start monitoring the phones of Dean's family because they are sure Dean will call home. And exactly that happens. Dean calls his wife, and the police trace Dean's new number and put it under surveillance too. Similarly, everyone whom Dean talks to is also put on call tracking, including one named Po Chow, who was the gang's right hand. Po Chow wasn't very careful while talking on the phone, and often discussed his lunch and dinner plans with gang members. That same mistake leads to his capture. Using this information, the police send a Chinese spy to the restaurant where the gang and Po Chow go to eat. The Chinese spy overhears them talking about where they are going to take their new warehouse. As soon as they get this news, the police begin surveillance on the new warehouse. But this time, unlike before, the police completely change their method. They install CCTV cameras on nearby buildings instead of patrolling with police vehicles. They make sure no police car goes near the warehouse. This way, they monitor the gang only through CCTV, and the gang remains completely unaware that the police know about their new warehouse. This time, the gang decides to use new methods to commit theft. They tell Dean that now they will steal cars from parking lots. As usual, Mario plays a key role in this theft with Dean. Mario goes to the parking lot guard and tells him that they are going to steal cars from here and offers him $500 in return. This amount is huge for the guard and he easily agrees. Mario and his gang steal the cars from the parking lot and then tie up the guard's hands and feet and leave him on the ground. This is done so that no one suspects the guard was helping them. But this time, in the hurry after stealing the cars, they break one of the rules they usually follow, which is to leave the stolen cars in a parking lot for 2 days to see if anyone is searching for them. Instead, Mario directly brings the stolen cars to the warehouse. And coincidentally, one of the cars has a GPS tracker installed in it. The owner of that car reports the theft to the local police station and also shares the GPS location. A local police officer reaches the warehouse based on that GPS location and starts observing from outside. He is unaware that the warehouse is already under police surveillance and that stolen cars are being brought there. The officers who were already keeping an eye on the warehouse worried that this local cop might ruin their plan, and exactly that happens. Po Chow, watching from the inside through CCTV, sees the local officer wandering outside. As soon as the officer begins to move toward the warehouse, some thieves inside start running out. As soon as the other police see the thieves trying to escape, they immediately arrest those thieves and the entire gang. And this time, even the mastermind of the thefts is caught, because the gang leader had never personally stolen cars. The court only sentenced him to 10 years, despite the fact that he had made $75 million from the thefts over the past 10 years. The most shocking thing was that the police didn't recover even a single dollar from the stolen money because the gang had transferred all the money to China.